The combat training demonstration at Fort Bragg was supposed to be routine. 300 soldiers gathered in the outdoor arena, watching as their commanding officers prepared to showcase new hand-to-hand combat techniques. Among the crowd stood Private First Class Maya Rodriguez, 23 years old, barely 5'3", with her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. She'd been on base for 8 months, quiet and unassuming, the kind of soldier who blended into formations and never drew attention to herself. Nobody knew her story. Nobody knew what she was capable of. That was about to change in the most dramatic way possible. General Harrison Blackwell stood at the center of the demonstration area, an imposing figure at 6'4" with 30 years of military experience carved into his weathered face. He was known for his old-school approach to training, his belief that soldiers needed to experience real aggression to prepare for real combat. He scanned the crowd of recruits, looking for a volunteer to demonstrate defensive techniques against a larger, stronger opponent. If you're curious about what happens next, hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you've ever witnessed someone completely surprise everyone around them. "I need a volunteer," the general barked, his voice carrying across the field. "Someone willing to experience what real combat feels like. This isn't a game. This isn't practice. This is as close to the real thing as we can safely simulate." Hands hesitantly rose throughout the crowd. Soldiers knew that volunteering for the general's demonstrations usually meant getting thrown around for the entertainment and education of their peers. The general's eyes scanned the recruits and stopped on Maya, standing in the third row, her hand not raised, her expression neutral. "You," he said, pointing directly at her. "Rodriguez." Front and center? Maya's jaw tightened slightly, but she moved forward with steady steps, her boots crunching on the gravel. Whispers rippled through the crowd. She looked impossibly small next to the general, like a child standing next to a bear. Some soldiers exchanged worried glances. This seemed less like a fair demonstration and more like a setup for humiliation. "In combat," the general announced to the crowd, "the enemy won't ask permission. They won't warn you. They'll use every advantage, including surprise and superior size." Without further warning, he reached out and grabbed a fistful of Maya's hair, yanking her head back violently, the way an attacker might in a real assault situation. The crowd gasped. Several officers stepped forward, concerned this had gone too far, that the general had crossed a line from training into actual assault. What happened next occurred so fast that many soldiers would later swear they couldn't follow the movement. Maya's hand shot up, not to grab the general's wrist as standard defensive training would suggest, but to press against her own head, trapping his hand against her skull. In the same fluid motion, she dropped her weight, spun her body, and twisted in a direction that should have been impossible. The general, his hand trapped by her technique, had no choice but to follow the momentum or have his wrist and elbow destroyed by the physics of his own grip. Within 2 seconds, General Blackwell was face down on the ground, his arm locked in a joint manipulation that he recognized immediately as advanced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His own hand still tangled in Maya's hair, but now used as leverage against him. She controlled his position with surgical precision, applying just enough pressure to immobilize him completely without causing injury. The entire base fell silent. 300 soldiers stood frozen, watching a general lying helplessly on the ground, controlled by a soldier a third his size. Maya held the position for exactly 3 seconds, demonstrating complete control, then released him smoothly and stepped back, resuming a position of attention as if nothing extraordinary had happened. The general rose slowly, brushing dirt from his uniform, his expression unreadable. For a moment, nobody breathed. Then something unexpected happened. The general smiled, a genuine expression of respect and even delight spreading across his face. "Outstanding," he said loudly, his voice filled with admiration rather than anger. "That, soldiers, is what I'm talking about. Perfect technique, appropriate force, complete control." He turned to Maya. "Rodriguez, explain to everyone what you just did and where you learned it. Now, before we continue, if this story has you on the edge of your seat, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Stories like this deserve to be shared." Maya stood at attention, her voice steady and professional. Sir, I'm a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a second-degree black belt in Judo. I've been training since I was 7 years old. My father runs a martial arts academy in San Diego. I've competed nationally and internationally. The technique I use is called a standing arm trap shoulder lock, modified for hair grab defense. It redirects the attacker's aggression against them using leverage and body, mechanics rather than strength. The general nodded, then turned to address the stunned crowd. This is why we never underestimate anyone based on size, gender, or appearance. Private Rodriguez here just demonstrated more combat effectiveness than most of you will achieve in your entire careers. She didn't panic. She didn't freeze. She used superior technique and training to neutralize a threat twice her size. You look back at Maya with genuine respect. Rodriguez, I'm immediately recommending you for our advanced hand-to-hand combat instructor program. We need soldiers like you teaching these techniques to others. But the general wasn't finished. He raised his voice to address the entire formation. Let this be a lesson to everyone here. The soldier standing next to you might be hiding skills you can't imagine. Rodriguez has been on this base for 8 months, and apparently nobody bothered to ask about her background, her training, her capabilities. We saw a small woman and made assumptions. That kind of thinking gets people killed in combat. He turned back to Maya. With your permission, I'd like you to lead the rest of this demonstration. Show these soldiers what real defensive techniques look like. Maya nodded, and for the next hour, she transformed from quiet background soldier to commanding instructor. She demonstrated techniques with volunteers, explaining the physics and psychology behind each movement. She showed how leverage defeats strength, how technique defeats size, how knowledge defeats brute force. Word of the demonstration spread across the base within hours. By evening, Maya's phone was flooded with messages from officers requesting her expertise. Within a week, she was pulled from her regular duties and assigned to the combatives training program. Within a month, she was teaching classes to special operations candidates, sharing knowledge that would save lives in future combat situations. The general made a point of attending her first official class as an instructor. Afterward, he pulled her aside. Rodriguez, he said quietly, I apologize for grabbing you like that without warning. It was meant to simulate real combat conditions, but I should have briefed you first. You handled it with more professionalism than I showed. Maya met his eyes. Sir, you gave me an opportunity to show what I'm capable of. Sometimes we need moments like that to stop being invisible. I'm grateful, not angry. The general nodded, understanding the deeper truth in her words. You were never invisible, Rodriguez. We were just too blind to see you. From that day forward, Maya Rodriguez became known as one of the most respected combatives instructors on base. Proof that capability isn't determined by appearance, that expertise doesn't announce itself, and that the most dangerous warriors are often the ones nobody sees coming. This story reminds us never to judge capability by appearance, never to underestimate based on size or gender, and always to recognize that everyone around us might possess extraordinary skills we know nothing about. If this touched your heart or changed your perspective, please share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Drop a comment about a time someone surprised you with hidden abilities. Let's celebrate the warriors among us who prove that strength comes in all forms. Thank you for watching, and remember, respect is earned through action, not assumed through appearance.